Hey y'all,
Hi.
what's up? It's Meezy and
Hey, it's Maya. And
and we are here on Zoom to critique some resumes. Maya has a channel called Maya Loves Code. If you want to tell us about it a little bit.
yeah, so I have a YouTube channel. I'm also a software engineer. I work in the finance tech space. And on my channel, I have different things from like interview prep, learn to code with Python, building a web app, just so many different things related to software engineering advice. So yeah, check it out. I'll probably comment below this video so you can just like click on my comment and go see my channel after this video. So yeah.
Yeah, make sure y'all check her out. She has the amount of code tutorials I'm supposed to have on my channel on hers. So if you need code tutorials, go to her
Teamwork.
channel.
Teamwork.
Yeah. So, oh, and if you didn't see the video that I did with her, it's on her channel last week, and that one was about job hunting. So make sure
Yes.
you check that out. So we're gonna go ahead. Some of y'all sent me resumes. Thank you so much for that. And we're gonna go ahead and critique those on here, and then also give y'all a few extra tips if we feel like we need something extra. Okay, so let me share my screen. All right, so for people's safety and everything, we are not showing names and emails and stuff like that. So this is our first resume. Maya, do you want to give some input on this one?
Yeah, so one of the first things I noticed was the career objective. And I kind of thought that the career objective was a little bit generic. So, in general, if you could show that career objective to 10 different people and they're all like, oh, yeah, I agree. I want a rewarding professional career. I'm striving for excellence. Then that means your career objective isn't really telling us about you. So, I would say if you do want to include it for this person, try to make it more specific to you and less general.
Yes, I agree with that. And honestly, for me in general, I don't think objectives are very necessary. If you needed to take up space, I would say add it, but like Maya said, make sure it's very tailored to you. But other than that, I don't think objectives are really necessary.
Yeah,
It's
every like resume workshop I've been to, if I ever had an objective, they were like, take it off.
um so let's just hop over to this bar on the side where it has, so this just says info, but really it's just a contact info. I mean, obviously it's your contact information, but just semantics. Um, they have their address on their resume. You don't need your address on your resume. You can do city and state just so they have, a specific area of where you live. And it doesn't even have to be your exact city. Like, let's say you live in Red Oak, Texas, you could just say that you live in Dallas. You're in the Dallas area. You don't want people to be able to pinpoint you, especially if you're uploading to LinkedIn or something.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, for example, if you're in the Bay Area, most people just say San Francisco, California.
Hmm.
So just to make it
Yeah.
more generic.
Um, and then these two emails, you only need one. They're only going to email you on one of them. You don't really have to put two. Um, it doesn't show anything extra. You'll be okay with just the one email. And
Hmm.
telephone number, you definitely want to have that on there. But my tip to y'all is to just not have it on LinkedIn, because somebody sent me a text message from my resume and that was really weird and I did not like that. So just wait for the recruiter to ask, because heads up, when recruiters message you on LinkedIn, they are still going to ask you to send them your resume even though you have it on LinkedIn. So just if you want to put it online, make sure that you um have your personal information protected. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now in this technical skill set, Maya, did you have anything on this?
Yeah, so I thought the order of the technical skills was a little bit interesting. So what I would do is the type of job that I want, I would put those core languages at the top. So for
Hmm.
example, recruiters, sometimes they will only spend less than a minute just looking through your resume. So you really want to grab their attention. So I believe this is like a front end type of resume. So I'll
Hmm.
definitely move up JavaScript to the top, React to the top. I like how TypeScript was at the top, but the
Yeah.
order of your technical skills really mattered.
Yeah. Another thing for me, a lot of resumes I got had a technical skill set like this, where it was just a gigantic amount of technologies. If you would not be able to speak on this technology, you probably don't want to put it on your resume, because if you're in an interview and somebody says, "Oh, I see you have Angular on your resume. What do you think about this Angular topic?" I don't know Angular, so I can't give you a specific example. But if they ask you a question about that and all you've done is like maybe one tutorial in Angular, or just kind of read up on it, and you can't speak to it, it's a little embarrassing, and it makes it seem like you are not telling the whole truth about your skills. So make sure you can speak to whatever skill sets you put on your resume.
Yeah. And you don't have to be like a complete pro, but like she
Hmm.
said, just be able to, like, what project did you do with it? How much do you know? Because at least for me, sometimes at my company, you can actually, like, the engineers can help with recruiting. So if I see a language I love, like Python, and I'm like, hey, don't you love how you can do this with Python? And they're like, oh, I didn't know that, but it's something kind of basic. And I'm like, oh, hmm.
Okay. Yeah, like you're gonna get busted. So
Yeah.
don't be that person that gets busted. Um, okay, next up we have hobbies and interests. Just remove it. That's my tip for that one.
Yeah, you said it so bluntly.
Just like
Yeah,
that's the best way I can say it.
yeah. So the problem that I had with this section was that, for example, reading, a lot of people would say they enjoy reading, or especially traveling. A lot of people enjoy traveling. So it didn't really provide insight to who you are. For example, another one like tutoring, researching. So I've seen some people, for example, in hobbies and interests, they might just put one thing like tennis, you know?
Hmm.
Even that, some people would say don't put that there because it's not
Yeah.
related to getting the job you want. But if you must put this, choose one that you just really feel like that really speaks to who you are.
Yeah. Also, I would say if you just want to have this section on your resume, really gauge where you're applying, right? Somewhere like Google, where they rate you on your Googliness, um, they might think it's kind of cool that you have tennis on your resume. But somewhere like Goldman Sachs, they don't care. They straight to the business. Why are you even telling me this? So definitely know who you're applying to when you do stuff like this. So the last section on this side is languages, and I think this is a good section to have. But when you're doing software development, you might want to specify like what kind of language it is, because I would assume computer languages, but obviously this person is talking about like spoken languages or like understood
Mhm.
languages. So, but that definitely gives you a leg up if you are bilingual.
Yes, I love this section as well. And I'm Yoruba, so I like that.
Yeah, so definitely a keeper, but just kind of just specify exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe
And it was
move
good.
that to the top also. It might give you a leg up.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, okay, I connect.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes. Okay. So, above this is the person's name, but they have front end web developer. My advice on this is to not put yourself in a box so much. I mean, if you're applying for a front end position, you want to do that. If you are not, you won't get overlooked, but they might just be like, "Oh, this is a front end person. Like, they probably won't have what we need." They might still check you out, but uh, yeah, I just don't put yourself in a box. And most of the time, if you are applying to the big companies, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, stuff like that, when you interview with them, you interview for a general software engineer position, and then they basically draft you. But I'll have another video on that. So you'll never know what team you're applying for. They just want to know, do you know computer science? Do you know how to program? They don't really care what kind of developer you are. Okay, we already went. Oh, sorry. Did you have anything on that?
no, that was perfect. Yeah, I completely
Okay.
agree.
Career objective, we already went through that. Education. Um, Now this person is not from the United States, so I'm not sure what a graduate accelerator is. I'm not familiar with that. Are you at all, Maya?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that is their most current one, and it's the first one on the list, so that makes sense. And then the next line, they have their degree, um, and the years that they got their degree. I think that is just fine. It looks good to me. Next up is the certifications. Maya, I know you have something on this.
Yeah, so I would just say to be more specific with your certifications if you can. So, for example, New Horizons, I have no idea what that is about, what type of certification that is. So, just providing more detail so the recruiter knows. So, for example, a good one was the Google Africa Scholarship Mobile Web Specialist course. Because I'm like, okay, I know this is about mobile web. So, just as much as you can, maybe put it in parentheses what that certification, like what you got certified in.
Yes. So next up, we have work experience. And now, I mean, you do have a experience listed, but you definitely want to explain what you did, how you did it, and the impact that your work had for the company. And we don't have any of that here, right? We just have the name of the company and your title.
Yeah, this was a huge missed opportunity. You should definitely go into detail about what you did, what languages you use, and yeah, definitely need more detail here. I was excited to see the work experience after seeing like the technical skills
Mhm.
section. However, I really get nothing from this section.
Yes. Projects, the one listed is great. Oh, but still, we need an explanation because 9 times out of 10, a recruiter is not going to go to your website. So you need to explain what you did, the technologies you used, and maybe what impact it had, but at minimum, what the project is.
Exactly.
Um, and then personal highlights. I think this would also kind of go in that, well, they have hobbies and interests kind of section, or maybe even under skills. They're just not technical skills. Um, but yeah, it's not something that you just necessarily need on the resume.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this section just because I would expect all people applying to the job to be good at critical thinking, communication, and teamwork. So I would definitely say if you didn't have this section, you can definitely have more room to put like more information about your projects and your experience. So I would definitely take that part out.
Yes. And then the last part, which we have all blanked out for safety reasons, is the references. And I think references are fine. I don't have any references on my resume, but because if they want them, they will ask for them and you can give it to them later. And then it just takes up space that you could use to explain more about yourself.
Yeah, I also do not have a references section as well. Usually, when they want references, they have their own process of doing that and they will like
Mhm.
reach out for references.
Yeah. So if you need more space on your resume, you can remove the references section because they will, trust me, they will get them if they need them. All right. So thank you so much for sending in your resume. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, let me move this over.
Yeah, thank you to the other person as well. I hope we didn't seem too harsh or anything. It was all out of love. And just it's just our opinions as well. Definitely take it
Hmm.
with a grain of salt and get other people's feedback as well. This is just from our experience.
Yes, and yeah, that's what it is. What Maya said. Ditto. I didn't need to add anything. Okay, so this next resume, this one I personally really like the format because I personally am a fan of stylized resumes, and I thought this person did a really good job of giving it some style without making it too overbearing and making the resume too hard to read. Um, so I guess let's start at the very top. Obviously, the person's name is blanked out again and all their connections, but I do like that they have their links at the top. If you were on a computer, you could click them. If you have it on paper, you can just type it in if you wanted to.
Yeah, I also love the links at the top as well. Your LinkedIn, GitHub. The third one was a link to her personal website. I actually went to your personal website too, and I loved it. So definitely like that section at the top.
Yes. And I know that this person had their contact information on there, but they removed it before they sent it to me, and I thought that was fine. Good practice, as we said earlier. Don't want randoms in your stuff. Okay, so her section begins with qualifications. And for me, it kind of falls into the same realm as the objective. But as we get further down, you will find out that this person is self-taught and they don't have as much experience, professional experience. So it kind of gives the reader more of an insight of what they did or what they can do.
Yeah, for me, I would just say try to make that first sentence like creative and driven front end developer, like really try and make it more specific to you because everything that was said in that first sentence and all the technologies mentioned were later mentioned again in technical proficiencies. So just if you can add something to that, even like accessibility, it was later mentioned as well, just so we can just gain a better picture of who you are.
Yeah, and definitely accessibility is a big thing when it comes to web development. So I think that is a good thing to have on your resume that you are big on that. Next, she has her projects, and I think she did a great job of laying this out. She has the name of the project, what it was, the technologies, and then what it specifically did, and how the technologies were used. I always am gonna say, like, you can explain more. Can you add any more detail to this? So that is one of my tips for this resume.
Yeah, same for that first project over there. I kind of wanted to know like the
Mhm.
impact that it had. So for example, you designed this app and a percentage, like a certain amount of people downloaded it, or just like some concrete numbers, how many people viewed the app, just so we can just understand a little bit more the impact that you had with this project.
Yeah. So, for example, for what Maya is saying, one project that I worked on at my old job was to like move a button from one part of the screen to another. So, like from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen, and if I was to put that on my resume, I would say I moved the button from the top to the bottom and it led to a 20% increase in completed forms or something like that. So having numbers on your resume, concrete evidence of what happened after you did something is a good idea.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that was a great example. And same thing for like that safe harbor project as well. Like, can you tell us like after you updated and revised that website, what did that lead to? That would be great to know.
Yes, yes. And then she has her online portfolio listed once again, and she has everything that she used there. And then one more project and another description. So yeah, you can always be more descriptive. I mean, obviously, you don't want your resume to go over one page. There's no reason almost anybody should have a resume over one page. If you ask Bill Gates for his resume, it would probably be one page, even his, right? So it's just supposed to be a snapshot of your best work, and you can elaborate once you get the interview.
Hmm. And then another general, not concern, but something while I was reading this resume is if you scroll to the top, in her header, she talked about some of the different technical proficiencies that she had. And she mentioned
Mm-hmm.
stuff like JavaScript and React. And those are actually languages I code in at work. So I was really excited to see how she used JavaScript and React. However, I didn't really see any specific projects that touched on those. So I'll definitely say add something in that uses that. Oh my goodness, my
Yes.
dog.
So that's another kind of a nod to what we said earlier about having technologies listed on your resume, but you need to you need to make sure you can speak to them.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was
Python as
something I
well.
didn't notice, but Maya noticed that, so that was a good catch there.
Yeah. No,
And then
I saw Python as well. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what project she did with Python because Python is my favorite language. But then I didn't
mhm.
see that. And I was like, oh, dang it. You know,
Yeah.
if you can.
Yes. And then so last she has her education section. So a lot of people ask, should the education go at the top or the bottom? Honestly, it does not matter. It, it's a personal choice. And so, like I said, she was self-taught, so she has the degree that she got first at the bottom, and then it goes all the way up to her most recent information. I mean, it's the education section. It is what it is. You list the certifications or degrees that you have, and that's it.
Yeah. And this resume also, she put her GPA because it's a really high GPA. That is like perfect. So
Yeah.
they can see like, but if your GPA is like below maybe like a 3.0, or different actually companies have cutoffs. So if your
Mhm.
GPA does not meet the cutoff, then don't add it in there.
Yeah. And I would say honestly, even if it is 3.0, I would say it needs to be over a 3.0
Mm-hmm.
because my GPA was a 3.0 when I graduated. I just left it off because most people, if they have a cutoff, it's going to be like 3.5 or something. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's really, don't get me wrong, that 3.0, I earned that, okay? But
True. Yes.
for whatever reason, most people are not impressed by 3.0, but we are out here, we're thriving with our 3.0.
Yes.
So
Congrats, sis.
thank
Congrats.
you. Thank you. Yeah. So thank you for sending in your resume. So Maya, do you have any like last tips to give out for resumes?
Oh, that's a good question. Any last tips? Well, I said it earlier, but like everything we said, really take it with a grain of salt and feel like whatever is best for you, that's what you should put in your resume. And I know someone was even saying like you could show your resume to like 10 different people and they'll have 10 different opinions. So
Mm-hmm.
really just understand like why they have that feedback. And then if you agree or disagree, decide to make that change. And then something I would do when I would go to career fairs is I would print my resume on like special paper so that it was like a little bit thicker than the other resumes. So I
Mm-hmm.
really feel like that helped because at the end of the day, sometimes recruiters, all the resumes are like scrunched up and it's like just because they got so many. But mine was on that like nice, on that nice thick paper. I really feel like it added a nice touch.
Formatting, that's what I wanted to say. A
Mm,
lot of people lose space to write descriptions and stuff because of their formatting. And if you just change that, take away that column on the right, bring those margins all the way out, you'll have
yeah.
so much more space. And then don't make your words tiny though to give yourself more space. We need to be able to read your resume. So
Mm-hmm.
don't go lower than 11 at the lowest to me. Some people do 10. I think that's way too small.
I was one of those people. But like I felt so
10,
exposed.
I can't see. I literally can't
No,
even
but it's a
walk through
good
my house
point.
without glasses.
Hmm.
So for me personally, I'm like, if it's 10, that's just, it's
You
too
don't want
much.
your recruiter to struggle, just so you
Yeah.
can fit in that extra sentence. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, y'all. Well, thank you for watching. Let us know if this was helpful. Go check out Maya's channel. Um, Subscribe to my channel too.
yes.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, thank you so much, y'all.
Yes. Bye.